Is go on now to our first interview with Karsten Eskelund, who has been, as I say, I met him as we collaborated together on the Agile Contract Manifesto. So welcome, Karsten.
Thank you.
Thank you. So maybe just kind of kick it off. What is this Agile Manifesto for Contracts? What is that, and why do we need one?
Yeah, I think before I go to the manifesto, I just have to say really pleasure to being here and being part of this product owner festival with so many, may I say, legends in the field. So I'm really honored to be part of this group. Yeah, so the Agile Contract Manifesto, why do we need an Agile Contract Manifesto? I think we have seen over the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years that the way we create contracts in the software industry in particular, but also in other industries, have really changed. I work with contract management myself, and 10 years back we wrote these large contracts where the vendor should have all the responsibility, and we try to put everything into the contract from day one. And we simply see that doesn't work anymore. The world moves too fast to create those kind of contracts. So I think that's why the Agile Contract Manifest initiative was started. I think we ended up being 12, 13 people from all across the world, a very mixed group who drew up the manifesto in an idea to see how we could better create contracts that serves better for both customers and vendors. I know you put yourself on mute.
I got to test out that famous mute button. Yes, it works. It works.
It works.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, thank you. Maybe we should take a step back and just kind of, who are you? Where are you based? What do you do? What's your connection to the process of product ownership?
Yeah. So I am based out of a very sunny place, Oslo, Norway. Lived here for most of my life, except from a few years in Mumbai, India. And I have been in the industry for, I don't know, 20, 25 plus years. Started as a developer. I got used to Scrum, which I think was a synonym for Agile back in 2008. And for the last 10 years, I have worked in the connection between customers and vendors in large outsourcing deals primarily. That's what I do today, working on creating an agile agreement for a large organization in Norway, moving to the cloud, which I think is a typical scenario for many organizations. We have our infrastructure, we want to move to the cloud, okay, that's fine. But how do we do that? What are the pricing models we can use? We will move into something that is unknown. So we can't just have a contract that replicates what we had before. Yeah, so that's the thing that really excites me in my work.
Cool. Okay. So what is when we talk about product ownership? Now, it sounds to me like you're kind of more on the other side of the table, working more with the procurement side.
Yeah.
What does product ownership mean for you?
So I guess I'm the one person in the speakers here who are not a product owner, have never been a product owner. I admit that. I work close with product owner, and I listened to the interview with Joe Justice some time back when he talked about product ownership in Tesla, and I can recommend everyone to listen to this, where he said that, well, the ultimate product owner, that is Elon Musk, because he decides what happens in the company. But and typically large companies, they make yearly budgets and those kind of things. But a product owner is the one who has to kind of slice the yearly budget down to, well, at least 12 increments or maybe 24 increments, and making sure to deliver something at frequent intervals. So to me, the product owner is the one that really makes things happen in the organization.
Okay. I think it's going to be very interesting because, when you've got a contractual relationship, you've got kind of the person who knows what they want on one side of the contract and the people who are going to make it happen on the other side of the contract, and then creating that collaboration so that they could work together effectively. At least in my experience, that's been, that's often a big impediment because, well, you got this big important VIP on the one side, and who may or may not be willing to take the time to work with, the people on the other side, and so it can be a bit challenging. So your talk is about bridging the gap.
It is.
So tell us about bridging the gap. What are people going to discover at your talk at the Product Owner Festival?
Yeah, so I think that the main challenge you see is that the product owner will always like to have a contract which is flexible, like a rubber band, while the lawyers would like to have a contract where everything is put into the stone. And that is where I will do my talk. Where can we bridge the problems that exist in such scenarios, where we have two kind of fundamental different ways of seeing a contract. And I will also talk a little bit about what I call the partner ecosystem. Again, coming back to Joe Justice and his talk about Tesla being probably the most agile company in the world. But if you look at the research, you see that Tesla also work with a lot of different partners. And how can that work if those partners are not equal agile to the organization where the product owner belong to? So yeah, these will be the things that I will talk about.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you need to be agile on both sides of the transaction, and up until now it's probably been the suppliers who've been more agile than the clients, but the clients are catching up and saying we need genuine agility too. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
I think that's a fair assessment, okay. And I think it's a great question. What is an agile agreement? In Norway, we say that typically an agile agreement is an agreement where the vendor only supply resources, typically time and material, and all the risk is on the customer side. I do think that it is possible to do more to it than that. And yeah, stay tuned, and we will talk about that end of June.
Wow. Okay, looking forward to it. Oh, that's a good point. Your talk is on the 28th of June, so that's kind of 2 weeks after the main conference. Yeah. We're actually going to be starting next week. We'll go 2 weeks, and then we've got a bit of a pause until the end of June. But your keynote speech is part of the conference. Anybody who has any ticket for the conference can attend your keynote speech. It's kind of the closing keynote for the whole event. Okay, or the double close. Okay, the bonus close. Okay, is there anything that you could, maybe a little tip that you could give to people today, something that you're going to talk about in your, in your talk, little teaser, something they're going to discover, learn how to do more of, when they get into your talk?
Yeah, I did have a picture in my mind. If you are the product owner of a very complex project, like sending a person to the moon or rebuilding a city that is bombed, what would you do? How will you start to work with this? You surely cannot do everything on your own. You will need some partners. You will need to contract with different partners. Mm-hmm. How will you do that? How will you make sure that you find the right partners to work with, and how can you contract with them to get the desired result, which is maybe completely unknown at the time of contracting?
Okay, so you're almost surely going to need partners. Who do you think is going to benefit most from your talk? I mean, who is going to consider your talk a must-see, a must-see event?
I think all product owners. I think no product owners work only within their own organization. We don't work in those silos anymore. So everyone who work with agile teams, where you work across different organizations, should be interested.
Okay, so anybody who's working with an agile team, regardless of which side of that transaction you're on, is probably going to benefit from that. Okay, well, that's awesome. Karsten, thank you very much. I'm excited and looking forward to your talk, and we will see you on the 28th of June.
Thank you. Looking forward.